Hello everyone. Just bear with me here for a quick second while I verify everything's working. Looks like it's working. Okay, perfect. Alright, so this is for June, the month of June. As you can see here, I have my usual folder layout. So this is Pack 73 for the month of June. To start off with, like in the previous video, we have the boss images. So if we open this up, we can see there's boss number 1. That is not a reskin as far as I can see. There's boss number 2, also not a reskin, so that's a good change. There's some effects, and there's boss 1's head and boss 2's head. So there's the avatars for the bosses. So let me first of all just rename those before I move on. So boss 1 and boss 2. Okay, so moving into the main game data, what I'm going to do here, just like I did in the last one, put these out on the right side. Oh, look, there's a reskin. Surprise, surprise. So the first armor, this is a reskin of the Shade Flame Edge, Fire Spirit from a few months back. So this time around it's Spirit and Air instead of Spirit and Fire. So Spirit Swirl, Air Effects, etc. So this is armor number 1. And I did already look through this data yesterday briefly, just so I kind of get an idea of what to expect. So this is the male, male of that. And just like in the previous video, the screen over here is the one that has all the data on it, so I'm just letting you know, so I'm not looking here all the time, that's why. Okay, so that's Spirit and Air. So next up we have a new armor, that is Spirit and Spirit. That's a dual Spirit. So this month there's going to be 3 war weekends, so there should be 2 duels in this. Like I said, I already did look through it. There are 2 of each element combination, so Spirit Air, Spirit Water, Spirit Fire, Spirit Spirit, Spirit Earth. There's going to be 2 of each. So this one is Spirit and Spirit, so this is probably going to be, I'm going to guess that's a war armor, but I'm not really sure. So this is armor number 2, Spirit and Spirit. That is also male. That's a new one. That is Spirit and Water. So there you can see the little water droplets down here as well as over here. And then the Spirit Swirl, of course, the aura at the feet. So that's armor number 3, Spirit and Water. And that is also the male, I believe. I'll double check. There's another new one, that's Spirit and Fire. You can clearly see the fire swirl there as well as the spirit swirl. It's one of the handy things about Spirit Month. It's always really easy to spot because with Spirit Month they usually have both the spirit and the other element in the foot swirl, the aura. So it's always easy to spot. They don't do that with every month. Some, for example, like Earth Month, it's usually just Earth and there's no other swirl at all. So it's kind of handy in Spirit Month. You can easily spot them. That one looks to be like it could be the female. I'm thinking it probably is. So armor 4, Spirit and Fire. It's harder to tell with some of these because the breastplates aren't clearly obvious. So if I go into here and zoom in, you can kind of see the waist is a little more narrow, and the breastplate's a little bit more bumped out, for lack of a better description. So that one is Spirit and Fire. I think that's the female. I'll check when I go through the rest of them, but that looks like that's Spirit and Fire female. Okay, so next up we have the female version of the Spirit and Water or the Spirit and Spirit, excuse me, that we just looked at. So that's the female version. That's a new one. That's Spirit and Water also. So you can see the water effect here, the water droplets. This is one of the ones that doesn't always have the water swirl at the feet. The Spirit and Water one's one of the few exceptions from what I've seen. So this is armor 5, Spirit and Water, and that is the female. You can clearly tell because the waist is narrower, and there's again that clear indication of the bump on the breastplate right there. So some of them are very obvious, but some of them, the chest plates, the upper section, just aren't clear on which one's which. Okay, that one, I was correct. That is the male. Much more broad waist there, so it's not quite as narrow. Okay, so that's the Spirit and Fire, which was number 4. Yeah. Okay, number 4. So this is the male version of the same armor. There's the female version of the first one, Spirit and Air. That's another new one. That's Spirit and Fire. That one is the male. Yeah, looks like the male. So that's Armor 6. Spirit Fire, male. There we go. There is the version just prior to Ascension for the male, for the Spirit and Air. That's Evolution 1. There is another new one that looks like the head, looks just like the Nautilus Lancer, the Water and Earth from a little while back. Everything else is different, but the head looks a lot like it. It kind of has those weird, like, what do you call them, the underwater helmets that you wear when you go underwater. Kind of looks like one of those. I can't think of the name for it, but the, not scuba, but it's like an underwater helmet. Anyway. So that does look an awful lot like the Nautilus Lancer, though, and just the helmet portion. The rest of it, not so much. But it definitely has a kind of a steampunky sort of look to it. Somebody at DECA, or whoever's doing their development now, is definitely has a steampunk bug up their ass. I don't know what it is exactly, but anyway. There's armor number 7. That's Spirit and Spirit. Okay. That is the male. Pretty sure. Yep. Okay, there's Spirit and Air. There's the female. So I was right on that one. Or Spirit and Water, excuse me. So that's this one? Yes. No, sorry. First one. Yeah, there we go. So that's that one. That's the female version. Alright. And there is... That looks like the base of the female, I think. For the Spirit and Fire, I believe it was this one. Yeah, because there's like no effects to the weapon at all, and I think there would be more effects to the weapon. So yeah, it looks like that's the female base of that one. Okay. And that's the female of the one we just looked at, that Spirit and Spirit. So this one here. Yep. So that one is the female. And that is the female one I just mentioned. It looked like it was the base, and I was right. This is Evolution 1, I believe. Yeah, because there's a little bit more definition in the weapon. If you open up the fully ascended version, there's all these lines along the side of the weapon there. This one doesn't have as many. And then the base has none. If you look at that, there's like no definition there at all. None of those little spiky things. Okay. Oh, look, another reskin. So this one is Spirit and Earth. So just like last month, it could be, the reskin could be the exclusive, the elite, whatever you want to call it, or it could be the other Spirit Earth in the files. So it's hard to say at this point which one's which. But this is a reskin of the Firelash Feller, which was Fire and Earth 4 months ago, I think. 4 months ago, something like that. So that's the so this is Spirit and Earth instead. So this is Armor 8, Spirit Earth. That is the male as well. Looks just like the other one, obviously, other than the colors. The color palette they used is entirely different, but it looks very similar otherwise. And again, like I mentioned in the previous video, if you see that little icon right there, that's a clear indication that it's an Earth armor. So that's just one of the things they always include with the Earth armors. This little kind of halo-looking thing here is in most of them, but it doesn't really, seem to indicate anything. Okay, so there's Spirit and Earth. So let's move on. There's the other Spirit and Earth. Okay, so that's the one that goes with the raid boss. So, or at least it should. Like this month, for example, the armor that clearly looked like the raid boss was not the raid boss armor. So it ended up being the exclusive, which is weird, but whatever. So this is the one that looks just like that boss. If you look at the head right here, for example, that looks just like the raid boss's head. I didn't look at the weapon in detail, but that looks just like the raid boss's head. So this one should be the raid boss armor. So this is Armor 9, Spirit Earth. So theoretically, if my estimation is right, the Spirit Earth Elite should be the reskin. But again, just like this month, no way to know for sure. So that's the second Spirit and Earth, and there is the male of the spirit and water, which I believe was this one. Yes. Okay, so that's the spirit and water. So we are just about through all of the ascended versions. And that's the male of the spirit and spirit. I think that was this one. Yes. Okay, so that's this one here. This is evolution 1, so the first version just above the base. There's the female of the spirit and fire. I believe it was this one. No, the other one. That one. Okay. So yeah, so this is the female version of that same armor. As you can clearly see, if you look at the waist and the breastplate, obviously female. So that's number 19. So this is this guy here. This is the female version of the same armor. And there is the, looks like the male evolution 1, so the version just above base. So it's this one. Yes. Okay. Kind of a cool looking weapon if you ask me on that one. Alright, and there is the male evolution 1 of the second spirit and fire. That one? Yes. Okay, so that's that one. I think we still are missing one, so there's probably one down here a little bit farther. That's the female of the very first armor, but evolution 1 instead. There is the spirit and water, that's the female. So that's this one here. Yeah. Okay, so that's this one here. There's the male of the spirit and spirit, which was this one. Yes. I always have to double check to make sure I'm not lining them up with the wrong ones, because I do that all the time. And there's the female of that spirit and earth raid armor. So that's the second one. Yes, okay. So we're still missing one. We're still missing... Oops, did I rename that wrong? No, sorry, that's the female. What am I doing? That's evolution 1. I already had the male of that one. Or no, sorry, evolution 2. My mistake. Like I said, I screw this up all the time. I have to go back and fix it after I've done it. Okay, and there is the female, or female? That's the spirit and fire. This one? Nope, that's male. Sorry. Male evolution 1. And there's male evolution, or base rather. So there's the base. So that one we have all of the versions of that one, I believe. All of them. Yep. So that's spirit and fire. That's all the versions of it from the base all the way up to the ascended versions for female and male. So that one's done, other than the head and the ring and amulet set. There's the female of the spirit and spirit, which was this one. Yes. Okay. After I've gone through most of it, I'll remember, oh yeah, that's number 7, or that's number 8, or that's number 6, whatever. I always remember once I'm done, but going through it I always double check to make sure I'm not screwing something up, because inevitably I will. That's the female of the spirit and spirit first one, so this one, I believe? Yes. Okay. And as for some of you that may have watched the previous one, that's super exciting, I know. I did, this is totally off topic, I did have somebody mention to me, hi Teabags if you're watching, he mentioned to me that I have something of a resemblance, not really like I look just like him, but a resemblance to, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead. So clearly I don't talk like him, obviously, because I'm not a Brit trying to sound like a Southerner, but he said that I look something like him, so he said that I should say something in the video, and I will in a minute, but I just thought it was kind of funny. I don't think I look anything like him, but prior to him getting all scruffy in the later seasons, I guess this is sort of what he would look like, I guess. Anyway. So anyway, back to what I was doing. So this is Spirit and Water. That was this one? No, wrong one. Wrong one. That's this one. Yeah. Okay, so that's the male version of this. Okay, so there's the female of the Spirit and Fire, which was that one? Yes. Cool. Alright, so that's the, whoops, female. And that's that. Okay, this is the male of the Spirit and Water, which was the other one, if I recall. Yes, it was. Oops, that's the male of that one, I believe. There's the Firelash Feller reskin. That is the male. That's Evolution 1. So that's Spirit and Earth, the first one. Yeah. Okay. That's a new one. Okay, so that's the one I was missing. So that's Spirit and Air. So that's the other Spirit and Air. And to be honest, I like that one a lot better than the reskin. Just because it's new. It's not a reskin of something we've already seen. That's kind of cool looking, actually. I like the blade on the weapon. Okay, so that's number 34. So 34 is Armor 10, Spirit Air, Male. There we go. Actually, that could be female. I'll have to look. That could be female. There's the female, I think. Yeah, it's the female of the Firelash Fellow reskin. So that's number 8. All right. And no, I was right. I was right. It was male. So this one is the male. This one is the female. So it's, again, with some of them it's not always as obvious, but this one you can clearly see on the waist. It's much more narrow and there's much more of a clear delineated bump there on the side of the breastplate. So, all right. Running out of room on my screen here. Okay, so next up we have the Water and Spirit and Water, which is the male, which I believe, if I recall, yes, that was that one. So this is the base version of that one. That's the female of the one we just looked at. That's Evolution 1. There's the Firelash reskin. That's the female. So that's number 39. That's Spirit Earth. This one? Yes. Okay. There is the male of the same one. So this is number 10. The last one. There's the female of the Spirit and Water. Thank you for following. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. That looks like it could be Celtic or something. I'm sorry, Celtic. Looks like it could be a Welsh name or an Irish name. I'm not really sure. Kind of like, what is that actress's name? Saoirse Ronan. She was in The Lovely Bones and The Host. Her name is spelled nothing like you'd expect. So it could just be a name that they came up with, but it looks like it could be of a Celtic derivation anyway. Anyway, back to what I was doing. This is the female Water, Spirit and Water. Was it this one? No, it's the other Spirit and Water. That one right there. There's the base of the male of the very first one. So that one's almost done as well. And there's the base of the female. That makes it easy. So that one's done. Alright, there's the base of the female of the first Spirit and Spirit. Female, yeah, okay. There's the base of the male. Again, makes it easy. They're like right in line with each other. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just scattered all over the place. There's really no rhyme or reason to them. The main reason is because the files are in the original DATAMINE pack file in order of size. So it's the image size itself is what dictates the order. So the largest is always at the top, the smallest is always at the bottom. So the bottom files are always like the rings and amulets sets, the crafting materials, keys, stuff like that. But I haven't seen new keys or new chests in 4 to 5 months. So presumably they're just reusing old chests and old keys because they don't feel the need to create new ones. Anyway, let's see. So this one, that one's done. That's the female of the Spirit and Spirit. I believe that was the second one. Yes, it was. Good guess. Okay, so that's the female base. So that one's almost done as well. There's the male base, I believe, of the Spirit and Earth raid armor. That one? Yes. Okay. So that's the base of that one. So that's that. And Spirit and Water, which was... No, I keep doing that. I keep picking on the first one. It's not that one, Brandon. It's not that one. Okay, so yeah, it's this one. And by the way, yeah, my name actually is really Brandon. So my name in-game is not that different from my real name. I've said this before in multiple chats, so most people already know this. But when I was a kid, I was probably 12, 13 years old. My older brother gave me the nickname Brando, so just my name without the N. No relation to Marlon Brando, the actor, by the way, just a nickname he gave me because he's an older brother and he was being a dick because like most older brothers are. But he gave me the nickname Brando, and my wife a few years back said you should be Blando Calrissian, so like Lando Calrissian from Star Wars. But I just thought it was funny, so when I started playing the game almost exactly 4 years ago, I put that as my name, Blando Calrissian, just for shits and giggles, for why not. And it just stuck. So people just started calling me Blando, and it's been the same ever since. So your history lesson is now done for the day. Okay, Spirit and Earth, that one is the raid armor, but I thought I already did the male base. I did do the male base, so this is the female. It just doesn't look particularly female. Okay, whatever. Wait, was that the... That is the base, so apparently I still need to find the evolution one. Okay, that's fine. So that is the base of this guy, if I could type today. Okay. Spirit and Water, that is the base of the male of the first one. This time I'm going to remember it. Yep. Okay, so that's the base of the male. There's the evolution. Okay, so that's evolution 1 of that same armor. So that's this one here. Yes, that's the one I was missing of that one. So that's evolution 1. Groovy. And there's the base of the male of the Spirit and Fire, which was this one. Yes. Okay, cool. So that one's almost done as well. Just missing the female base on that one. There's the Spirit and Water. That's the very first Spirit and Water, if memory serves. Yes, it was. Oh, sorry, not the first one, the second one, but that's the female. That's the one I'm missing there. Shut up, phone. Oh, nice of you to let me know about my subscriber on Twitch when it already notified me. Gotta love that delay. Gotta love technology. Okay, there's the male base of the same Spirit and Spirit, which I believe was this one. Yes, okay. And there's that one done. That's all that one, I believe. Yep, that's all those ones. There's the male of the last one, the base. Just about done with the armors already. Oops, wrong one. There's the female base of the same armor. So I think that's it for that one. Yeah, that's it for that one too. So that's the female of the Spirit and Fire, which was this one. Correct. Okay. That's the base of that one. I think we might be done. We're very close to it. Oh, Fire Lash Feller. Sorry. Forgot about that one. That's this one. Yes. That's the, oops, that's the female, or the male, excuse me, the male base of that one. So that's that. That one's nearly done as well, I think. Yep, there's the female. Okay, I think, yep, we're done. So the armors are done. This is one of the pets. So 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, all in order. That makes it handy. Okay, so these guys are all the pets. Those are the full images, the full breakdowns, just like the armors are. But I'm going to make myself a folder, get them out of my way. There we are. And there's the cape. That is a weird looking cape. They look like scrolls. Like, I guess the closest comparison I can say is, just because I have grandkids and I've seen the movie recently, Kung Fu Panda, the dragon warrior scroll, they kind of look like that, but with obviously different color schemes, but they look like that, like they're coming off the back there, which is kind of cool. But that's the cape, so let's see, so that's number 65. Make a separate folder for that as well. And there's one of the pets, so these are all the pets. There's Firelash. Huh, that's it. Okay, so we have, that's the, looks like that's tier 5, that's tier 4, that's tier 3, that's tier 1, and that's tier 2. So that's the order. So 66 through 68, 70 and 72. 68, 66 through 68, 70 and 72. Okay, so there's the pets. Those are out of my way now. Got it. There's the picture of the cape. That's number 73. And for some reason, I don't know why this is, they always include that image twice. I have looked at it, like zoomed in on it as much as I can. There's never a difference. For whatever reason, they always include it twice. But it looks like it has like some tassel-y things coming off the back. It kind of looks like it's just a big like backpack, I guess, that holds scrolls. Okay, whatever. I'm not the designer. So 73 and 74 are the cape. So those are the individual. I'm going to rename this one really quick. And then in here, I'm going to rename these really quick while I'm at it. So this is tier 5, tier 4. Thanks, Joey. Tier 3, tier 2, and tier 1. So there's that. That's pets are all done. Okay, so there's the head for the spirit and air, which is number 75. I've skipped some, I know. I'll come back to them. Let's go back. So there's the Firelash Feller reskin, which was spirit and earth. That one? Nope, wrong one. So this one here, yep, that's it right there. So that's the one I want. That's the spirit and earth head. That was the dual spirit, if I recall. Yes, it was. Okay, so spirit, dual spirit. That's the head for that one. Some people call them avatars, some people call them heads. Same difference. There is the spirit and water, I believe. Yep, nope, wrong one. This one. Thanks, Tucker. Yep, that's spirit and water. It was the first spirit and water. Okay. That's one of the spirit and fires, which I think, was it that one? No, that was the first one. It was the spirit and fire here. Yes, okay. And that's that. That's the spirit and water, the other one, I believe. This one? Yes. Okay. And I'm thinking, by the way, that's the other raid armor, just FYI. Because the, let me show you what I mean. The little flares that come off the top of the head here, as well as off the weapon, look just like the boss's, like, kind of same sort of color scheme. I think little bits and pieces that are that same color coming off of the boss. So that's most likely the other raid armor. So the raid armors are going to be Spirit and Earth, and then Spirit and Water. So that's going to be the raids for this month, for June. That's kind of cool looking, if you ask me. Kind of a skull looking effect with like a tubing coming out of the sides of the mouth. It's kind of cool. Anyway, that's the Spirit and Fire, I think. Was it this one? Nope, not that one. It's definitely not that one. It was one of the first ones, I think. Is it this one? It was. The other, yes, the dual spirit. Okay. Had no idea. It looked like a spirit and fire to me, just based on the color scheme. Okay, so that is the head for that one. And that's the very last one that we found, which was the spirit and air. And that's the raid armor, or at least should be the raid armor, which is this one. And there's the one I keep going back to. I keep thinking it's that one because it's the spirit and fire look, but that's actually a spirit and fire as opposed to the other one that just looks like it could be. All right, and that's it. So the heads are all done now. Let me double check. Got a head there, head there, head there. Yep, looking good there. Head, head. Yep, they're all there. Okay, so now we're into rings and amulets. So this is the Shade Flame Edge reskin, the very first one. So it's Spirit and Air, so Armor 1, Spirit, Air, Amulet. Okay. And I'm going to see if I can just quickly find, so that was easy, quickly find the ring that goes with it. So that's done. Okay, so we can go back. So that one is the last one, because it looks just like the shield. So that's the Spirit and Air. That's the Amulet. Okay. Shade Flame Edge. That's the Firelash Feller, because it looks just like the previous one. So that's this guy here. So that one is the Amulet for that one. And when they do the reskins, usually the ring and amulet set match the previous version. They just have the different color scheme to match the armor. Okay, and that one's done. That is the exact same amulet as the Nautilus Lancer, the Water and Earth from several months back. It's the exact same amulet, just different color scheme, obviously, but it's the exact same amulet. Okay. Apparently they decided to reskin the Nautilus Lancer, but make it look different enough that it didn't look exactly the same, but then they just reused the bling. whatever. Okay, so that was that one. Yeah, so it looks just like the Nautilus Lancer, which is kind of weird, but whatever. So there's the amulet for it, and again, that looks identical to the one from the Nautilus Lancer. It looks identical. Okay, next up. That one is, I believe, the one I keep thinking is Spirit and Fire. It is it that one? I believe it is that one. Actually, it is the one that I thought was Spirit and Fire. It looks just like the shield. So yeah, that is it. Okay. So that is the amulet for that one. That's a ring. I don't know quite yet. That looks like it could go with the last one. Color scheme matches. Sometimes it looks like the belt or something similar, and in this case, it does. Looks just like the belt. Yep, so that's it. Okay. Alright, so that one is the very last one. That is the Spirit and Air. That's the ring for it. So it just gets to stay where it is. Whoops, if I could not capitalize things I don't need to capitalize, that would be helpful. That is a Spirit and Water. I believe it was this one. Yep, just like the shield. So that's the Spirit and Water. And just like I've mentioned in the previous streams, some of them are obvious. You look at it and go, oh, that looks just like the shield. There's the Firelash Feller. Again, same exact ring, just a different color scheme. So that's this guy here. So the Spirit and Earth. And that's the ring for it. Some of them, it's not always as obvious. When I looked at this the first time, when I looked at the Firelash Feller's original armor, that's the shoulder, I believe, of the armor, and you don't normally see that because the shield is right in front of it, so you can't actually see the arm or the shoulder, the pauldron, whatever you want to call it. So it's not always as obvious, but some of them it's pretty clear. And you have to kind of look around a bit, but you know, that one is the Spirit and Fire, I think. Was it this one? Oops, I want to open the head. Ah, damn it. Misclick. That is not that one. Nope. Definitely not that one. Was it this one? No. Definitely not that one. Nope. I'm not even close. What the hell? Nope, not that one. I already got the ones for that one. What the hell does this go with? Am I just totally missing it? No. That looks like one of them. Okay, I guess I'll just keep digging. Not that one, because I already got the amulet for that one. Not that one. I'm just going to go through them one by one until I find the right one. Derp. There we go. It's this one. It's the other Spirit and Earth. This is the Raid Armor's amulet. There we go. Finally. Good God. Reconnect brain. Try again. And there's the ring that goes with it. Looks just like it. That makes it easy, since I'm already there. Alright. That one is the one I was talking about earlier that looks like... Is it? That's this one? No. No. That one. Yep. That's the shield. That's easy enough for that one. And we're just about done with this as well. So, next up, we have the ring that goes with the very same armor. That's, again, makes it easy. Okay, and that one, I don't know. Yeah, that's the Nautilus Lancer's ring. Again, it's the exact same art, or the exact same bling. So which one is this going to go with? That one's the ring for... I'm going to guess it's not for this one, because that's the one I was looking at, which is the next. So let's just really quickly rename that one. This one right here. That's the ring for it. Get that out of my way. Okay, so we've got ring, ring, ring. This one? Yes, it's the cross on the shield, and also in the center of the breastplate. Okay, that's it right there. So 96 is Spirit and Fire. Doesn't look particularly Spirit and Fire to me. It looks more Spirit, but no fire at all. Okay, that's that one. And that one is one of the first ones. That was the Spirit and Spirit, I believe, this guy. Oops, don't want to open the armor itself. Yeah, that's the shield that goes along with that one. Yep, right there. Cool. Alright, so we are nearly done with the image sorting. I know this is terribly exciting. That is the ring for the spirit and water, I believe. This guy. Where's the arm? There it is right there. Doesn't particularly look like that one. Like it kind of does. Yeah, maybe it is. It kind of has that same accent color like you see poking out here and there on this one. These yellowish, orangish colors. Kind of looks like it does, but I'll come back to it just to make sure. And that one goes with it, so I'm thinking that must be it. But no, I already got the shield. The shield was clearly a match, so that may be a different armor entirely. Was it this one? That one is the shield. Okay. Yeah, this one definitely goes with that one. That's the shield. And then the ring looks just the same. Okay, so that's this one. So this is the armor number 3. So this is the shield and, or the ring and amulet, excuse me, to go with that one. So there's the ring, and there's the amulet. That's done. Okay. And last but not least, this is the one I believe that I was just looking at, which is this one. No, I already got that one. That one right there, the spirit and water. Yeah, that's this one. Pretty sure. No, maybe not. I may have to come back to that one too. Okay, that's the ring, or the amulet for the... That's the one I was actually just looking at, I think. Is there a skull anywhere in there? No, there's not. I'm just batting 1,000 today. No, clearly not that one. Oh, hang on. Is there a skull anywhere on here? It kind of does have some similarity to that one, but it's not as obvious. I mean, there's skulls everywhere on this one. Even the head's a skull. But the color scheme seems totally wrong. I mean, it kind of matches the legs and the chest a bit, but it doesn't look like it's quite the same. Huh. Okay, well, let's see. Does this one match up a little better? Not so much. Okay. This is one of those times where I run across something I'm not quite sure about and I have to just keep looking things over. Doesn't happen every time, but it's not always as obvious which one goes with which. That's it right there. I already got that one. Never mind. That one already has been done. That one already done as well because that matches the shoulders. There's the amulet for number 5. But I do not have a ring for that one. Kind of has a similar color scheme, but just doesn't look clearly like anything else in the armor. Usually there's some kind of clear delineation that this looks just like the shoulder, or just like the breastplate, or just like the belt, or something like that. But this one doesn't really look like it. I think I may have one wrong. I think I may have one of the rings and amulets set with the wrong ones. Let me just continue to go through these. That one's pretty obvious. I think I've got that one good. Yeah, because that's got the cross on the shield as well as the breastplate matches the color scheme of that pretty much exactly. And then the amulet looks just like the shield. So that one's done. This one is the Nautilus Lancer looking reskin. It does look an awful lot like it. So that one, we have the ring, or the amulet, excuse me, that looks just like the kind of the swirls that come off of the shoulder right there, so it looks pretty much exactly the same. And then the ring, which is not as obvious, kind of has the similar sort of spikiness of this part of the weapon, the base of the weapon there, right there. Kind of has a similar look to it. So you zoom in, it kind of has that same sort of bit there, and then the flares coming off the side. That's actually the same as this little bit that comes across the weapon right there, so that's definitely the right one. There's the Fire Lash Feller. I already know that one matches because I've already done it. That one, yeah, looks just like the shield. That's easy enough. And then this one looks just like the shields. They weren't really very original with that one. That one I think I may have gotten the ring on this one wrong. Maybe. No, ring's right. Yeah, the ring's right on this one. The amulet clearly is. I don't know, this is an iffy one. I may have to look into this one a little bit more in depth, because the waist right there looks just like that right there. It's the same exact shape, same color scheme, same everything. So I'm pretty sure that one's safe, as is. But that one, I'm really not honestly sure where this one goes. This one's confusing me. Same with the... I think there may be an 11th armor. I mean, I've got amulet and ring. This one's the only one that's missing. Okay, hang on a second. Let me go back here. This one here. That one's got to go with this one, because it doesn't really seem to fit anywhere else. And it has the same sort of shape as the shield. But I don't know. But I don't understand that one. Doesn't look like, I mean, it looks like it, yes. It has the same sort of skull shape. It's clearly the same skull shape. Different color entirely, though, and I haven't seen them do that before. And this piece right here, it has the same sort of shape as the shield, but totally the wrong color scheme, and usually they match exactly if that's what they're going with. So maybe they did this one to throw a wrench in my gears. So it's entirely possible. So let's do that. Let's just assume, for the time being, that this one, because the ring looks exactly like it, so I'm assuming, based on that, that this is going to be the amulet for that one. Which means the only thing I have left is this guy, which is a ring for an armor I have not yet assigned one. And to me, it truthfully does not look like it belongs, where is it at here, with this one. It doesn't look like it really at all to me. Color scheme, you know, is the same, but again, it doesn't really look like it belongs. It doesn't have that same sort of, I mean, there's the little, you know, runes looking things on it, obviously, and the color scheme is very similar. But I just don't see, I suppose it does look kind of like the head right here, kind of that sort of shape right there. But I don't know, whatever. It's the only one that's really left, so that's the only that's one I'm going to have to go with, because I don't really see any other place it could belong. Okay, so rings and amulets are now done, and last but not least, we have the crafting materials. We have a skull, and we have a little swirly, feathery looking, could even be a tuft of hair, who knows. That's crafting materials number 1 and number 2. So SF23, yes, 23, season 23, material 1, and SF23, material 2. Hard to believe, I know, but we are. If I go back out here to the previous one, this is for the current season, and it is 22. So, yeah. Hard to believe, but yes, we are on season 23 as of next month. Okay, so now it's time to start assembling armors. Let's do the first 4 here. Go into edit. If my application will ever load. There we go, good God. Computer's not that old. I mean, yeah, it's old, but it's not that old. Okay, so armor number 1, armor number 2, armor number 3, armor number 4. Okay, we'll just do them in order. All right. Okay, first things first. Let's go through here and start assembling these guys. This is where it's a little bit more interesting, I suppose, because I'm actually putting the armors together, and you can actually see kind of what they look like before you put anything else on them. And I do pause, or at least I try to pause, after each armor is assembled, so before you put the shield and the weapon and everything on it, so you can kind of see what it looks like prior to that, so you kind of have a better idea of what the entire armor looks like without everything else on top of it. Because sometimes the shield covers up like the entirety of the shoulder, so it's not always as easy to see. Okay. Damn it, Coral! You're such a dumbass, you keep getting kids killed! Coral! Okay. There you go, teabags. I did it. I don't know how effective I was in my impersonation of Rick Grimes, but now you have it. You can watch it and laugh. Damn it, Coral, you worthless piece of shit! Stop getting people killed! Okay. Sorry. I promised him I'd do it. I did it, so there you go. So there's the armor. That's what it looks like before you add anything to it. I like the original version better. That's just me, though. That's just me, though. Okay, and then we have, the shield, which, just like the original, is massive and completely covers the effect of the shoulders. But whatever. There's the shield. And the weapon looks, again, exactly the same, minus the color scheme. No difference, really, whatsoever. Whoops, I don't want to do a new layer yet. I don't need that yet. Okay. Arm. Every once in a while they do that with the arm with the weapon, so I don't have to do any kind of cleanup. I just attach it and done, which is kind of nice. I'm sure I won't be doing that with every one of them, but they do that sometimes. It kind of makes my job a little easier. And there is number 1 done. Merge all those layers back together. And there's that, so let's see, how wide are we here? 270 wide, 247 tall, so 270 square it is. Center that a bit, and save that. Now we're going to go into, I'm in the totally wrong folder. Made a folder specifically for this, so this is armor number 1, spirit and air. Same name, done. Okay, there's number 1 down. This one I kind of like the look of. I kind of like the contrast in the colors. And it's got skulls too, which is kind of cool. Oops. There we go. So there's the head. And the... it's kind of a big shoulder plate thingy looking, whatever, spiky thing coming off the shoulders there. Then there is that. Okay. And somewhat on topic, but also somewhat off topic. The guy who did this before me, Yafed, or Yafed, I don't know how you properly pronounce it, but it was Yafedim Yaedim originally. He'd gotten into the game files and pulled out the kind of that naked sort of body, just the body without an armor or anything on it, as his reference point when he was building armors to kind of make sure that they were assembled correctly. I've never done that. I just kind of like, I just kind of look at it and say, yeah, that looks about right, and then I zoom out, and if it still looks okay after I've zoomed out like that, then it's usually, good to go. But I can still always come into here and say, oh, actually that's a little bit too high or a little bit too low. I can kind of rearrange that the way I see it. That looks actually pretty good to me right there. So there's that armor. Kind of cool. I like the spikes off the shoulders. Lots of skulls. Lots and lots of skulls. There's the shield. And that's there. And that one doesn't cover quite as much of the shoulder, but you can still kind of see it. I'm not sure what to think about this weapon though. Kind of like a modified trident, sort of. There's that was what I was just talking about with the previous armor. I have to clean up the arm here a little bit to make it kind of blend in, like about like so. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. It's kind of unique and cool, but not really sure what to think about it. Alright, there is that one. Done. Cool. Alright. And by the way, I also did, on that same topic I was just mentioning, I did also dig into the game files. And they're all just the same thing, just images. Went into the game files and also pulled out the same nude body. I think it's been passed around. There was the glitch with the epic boss where the Nemesis armor after you defeated the boss was showing up as just a naked body. Basically, it was just like the shorts, and that was it. It's the same one that I found in the game files as well, that you can use as a reference to make sure that you're lining up the armors properly. So I know I've seen it too, but I just don't use it. Not to say I'm better or anything, just didn't need it. I guess I just kind of like the way it looks just doing it on my own without having to use that as a reference. I don't want that to come across as being like high and mighty or anything, so I'm definitely not. But was this Spirit and Fire? Shit, I forgot. Spirit and Spirit. God, I can't remember on this damn armor. It doesn't look Spirit and Spirit to me. Armor 2. It looks like Spirit and Earth or Spirit and Fire to me. Whatever. Okay. This one is Spirit and Water. This one clearly looks like a Spirit and Water armor to me. Because it has very clearly purple and blue colors to it. It has kind of these flares, which are definitely kind of spirit looking, and lots of water, bluish looking colors. It has these, kind of cool accents, like this little flare coming off the bottom of the edge of the bottom of the cape, and on the arms. But it definitely looks like a Spirit and Water armor to me. Some of them are obvious, just looking at the color schemes. Oh, that's definitely Water Spirit. Oh, that's definitely this. That's definitely that. Some of them, like the one I was just looking at, does not look particularly Spirit and Spirit to me. I mean, it does. It has the definite Spirit colors. But the other color that's in use there is definitely not what I would refer to, anyway, as being a Spirit-looking armor. This one's I kind of like, as it goes together. Some of them, like last month, the Spirit and Fire reskin, which was the Spirit and Spirit Arcanist Tome. It was one of the first fusion armors, fusion-only armors from forever ago. I like the look of I didn't like the look of it initially, but then when I started assembling it, it looked a lot better than the original. I didn't see it at first, I guess. Wasn't seeing the big picture. But when I assembled it, I liked the look of it a lot better. At first, I was like, that looks kind of dumb. It looks kind of cheesy. And then I assembled it. No, actually, that kind of looks cool. So, I guess it's just something I'll learn as you go, I suppose. So there's that one. That's the Spirit and Water. That's number 1 of the Spirit and Water. The shield. And you'll notice, by the way, there's 2 shields that face one direction and the other shield that faces the other. I always use the one that faces, like, if you're just standing, like before a battle or something. I always use that one. I could use the other one, but I kind of don't like the look of it when you put it on the armor. I just like the look of this one better as you put it on, because then it looks like they're just standing there waiting to go to battle or something. So it's also the same position of the shield in the victory stance when the arms are upraised, and you can see that right there. And then the weapon, of course, the same angle. You can see that there. They include the weapon and the shield 3 times, as well as the arm 3 times, in addition to the end of the weapon or the hilt, in both directions, depending on which way you want to go. So the arm completely bent, partially bent, and then fully straight up and down. This is I believe, if I recall correctly, this is the arm in battle. It's the one that's partially bent. Fully straight up and down is just the stance before a battle, and then the victory, this one is the one that they use for the upright sort of shield. But you can't see it, again, because it's behind the shield anyway. So I don't know why they include 3 versions, but I guess that's been that way since the beginning. Because some of the older armors, especially the legendaries and prior, didn't have a shield. They would have like a secondary weapon. So that's the reason why they have the arms in the different positions, so that you can attach whatever you want to, I suppose. Okay, back to what I was doing. And I've gone through and actually, when I first started doing this, I initially started doing it with Yafid, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it, with his help, because I was actually trying to fix an article on the KnD wiki, because it was missing stats and missing an image. I think it was the Chaotic Hellguard, I think, one of the Spirit and Water armor from ages ago. That one didn't have a good quality image. It was somebody's just screenshot from the game they just cut and put it in there. And I wanted it to be like looking like the original, the rest of them that had an actual picture that was just the picture by itself without having to be modified or edited in any way. And so I contacted him and said, hey, could you help me out with this? I'm trying to just find some old armors so that I can update the wiki so that it has more current data, more data that looks better. And he said, well, sure, I can show you where the files are and show you how to extract them and all that good stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, and then I happened to watch his next live stream, which was actually just a few weeks later, I think. It was in November, I think. Not this past November, but the one before. And I watched him do it, and he copied and pasted the link for the files. the publicly available files that your device would download whenever you get a new update for the month. I happened to catch that, and it's really brief, it's really fast in the video. I happened to catch it, and I just tested my own theory and said, I wonder if I can get the files for the upcoming month. I put in the URL, nothing. Got nothing out of that URL, because normally they increment up each month. So say, for example, last month was 72, this month is 73. They increment up each month. But this time, when I tried it that first time, I got nothing. And I kept trying it every day for the next like 2 weeks, and I got nothing every single time I tried. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm doing it wrong, maybe my URL is wrong, I don't know, maybe I'm stupid, etc., etc. And so I couldn't find it. And then one day I realized my URL had one character off. And so I changed it, and bam, I got the first file. That was just over a year ago now. So that was, I think, in December or January. Not this past one, obviously, but the one before. That was the first one I did. And it took me like 2.5 hours the first time to extract the data, just to pull the data out of the file. Because I didn't know what I was doing. It was all just stuff he'd kind of given me basic pointers on, and I had to figure the rest out on my own. Because he's in an entirely different country. He's in, if I recall correctly, Taiwan? I can't remember now. But he's on a totally different time zone, so I couldn't just say, hey, by the way, could you help me out with this? Because he wasn't even available at the times I was doing it. This was at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, my time. Almost midnight. And so he wasn't available for me to just chat with. So I was like, hey, when you get a second, get back to me. I have some questions. And by the time he got back to me, I'd figured it out and extracted all the stuff myself. But it did take me about 2.5, 3 hours that first time to get the data extracted into a format I could actually use. And then I experimented for the next probably 2 hours the next day just assembling armors, just to figure out the layers and everything, because I'd never really used an image editing software before. This is called Paint.net, by the way. It's free. And I just tried it and couldn't quite get it figured out. I mean, I watched his live stream where he was assembling, and I kind of had a general idea of what to do, but I didn't understand the orders of the layers. And like when you're using the application, you can't see it because of my head, but up here in this top right corner, this is the layers that I use to assemble the images with, as well as the DATAMINE. And I hadn't figured out the order. I just didn't know what I was doing. So it took me a while just to get that figured out as well. But once I did, I was much better off. It just took me... And I'm not stupid. I'm just kind of an idiot sometimes when I'm doing stuff. I always want to go about it the hardest way possible. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is. I'm just... one of my alternate accounts on Global, I named him Derpistan, so Derp, because I created the account just for fun to play around with. It wasn't meant to ever be a serious account. It still kind of really isn't. But I created it just for fun, and I named him Derpistan. I'm sure it's not a totally common, or not totally unique name. I'm sure some other people have used it. I did that because at the time I was derping really hard. Could not figure out this whole layer sequence to save my life. I was trying to do it and just failing miserably. So that's where Derpistan came from. It was just me being stupid. So again, I'm not generally a stupid person, but I do occasionally derp. Okay, there's that one. Kind of has a, I don't know what I'd call it, a rat, but kind of a pointy nose sort of face shield, helmet looking thing. Kind of looks rat-ish to me, but I don't know. Maybe just me. Anyway, there's that one. Let me grab this shield. So there's the armor before you add anything to it. And there's the shield, which again covers up most of the shoulder, which is also the ring, coincidentally. And the weapon looks like, I don't know what the hell to call this. Yeah, I have no idea. It has kind of a skull with, like, horns coming off of it, and this thing looks distinctly Egyptian to me. So I don't know what you'd call this. It's cool looking, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what the hell you'd call it. Clean up the edge here a little bit again, so that it kind of blends a little better. There we go. Alright. And we are now on armor number 4 of 10, so we're getting there, slowly but surely. That one has just a weird looking weapon. The weapon doesn't really look right to me. I don't know, could just be me. Looks a little too big. I don't know, whatever. 275. And I mentioned this in the previous video, I tend to like to make the images themselves square, because not only is it easier to assemble on the sheet and everything's kind of all square shapes, but also when I upload them to the wiki as well as to Yafed's site. By the way, it's down. He's having some issues with, if I recall correctly, the portion of the site that we use to upload pictures and things like the images for the armors as well as the rings and amulets apparently had a security flaw, and his site was basically taken offline until it was fixed. So it's offline at the moment. You might have also gotten it through shroombase.com, depending on how you got to it. Same site. I also helped to maintain that. Okay, so that's number 4, which was Spirit and Fire. Okay, this one looks Spirit and Fire to me. So this one is one of the few that actually kind of looks like it belongs. And with the swirl effects and all the particle effects and whatnot, it'll obviously look much better. Okay, there's 4 down. Back to here, let's grab the next 4. Actually, I'll just grab all the remaining ones. There's not that many left. There's only 6. Okay. And there is image number 5. Number 9 goes back over here. I like to put these in order, just because that way when I save them, they're saved in order as well. 1 second here, I've got to... Just checking my... checking my line messages for just a quick second. Sorry, just reading a message from a bunch of people here. Sorry guys, I had to. Okay. Sending a message to a bunch of the guys in a chat I'm in, telling them to knock it off, they're distracting me. They're just goofing around talking about beards. So, you know who I'm talking about now. Alright. So, Spirit and Water, I believe? Yeah, Spirit and Water. Number 2. And no, really guys, you're not distracting me. I'm just messing with you. I have that channel muted at the moment anyway, so I'm not going to get notifications. Or that chat, rather. I say channel because I come from the old IRC days, and we called them channels back in IRC, and on the old BBS's ages and ages ago. And that just dated me. Because if I say BBS, only people who actually have or used BBSs know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. If you know what that is, welcome to the old people club. Or at least have done research into it and understand what I'm talking about. The rest of you are like, what the hell is he talking about? What is a BBS? Bulletin board system. It's an old system that used to we used to use to chat with people as well as share data, share information. Back in the day, this was probably the early 90s when I first started getting into BBSs and IRC. Well, not really IRC. IRC was later. Internet relay chat, for those of you who don't know. But it was kind of like the messaging software back at that time, when the internet was still relatively new. I think I was on BBS's, the one that was here local where I live, chatting with friends, and again, most of them were all local. They all used the same BBS I did. They were all within, you know, half an hour to an hour from where I live at the most. There were a couple of people that were farther away, but they rarely, if ever, chatted because at the time, long distance was still a thing, and you had to call a long distance number, in their particular case, to get connected to the BBS. So, and it was back in the days when modems were commonplace. I mean, we still have modems, obviously, but these were the old 14.4 and 28.8 and 56K modems. So that also dates me, because most people would have no idea what that even means. So, anyway. Back to what I was doing, now that I've gone on a rather bizarre tangent about things. Okay. This one is the other Spirit and Water? Yes. Okay, so this one is a wide one. It's a big one. 295. Oh, anyway, I was actually talking about them. I mentioned this in the previous stream. You can see down here in the bottom corner, this is the location. So the size of the actual image is the first one, and then the location of the mouse. Like if I'm here, I'm at 355 and 80. If I'm down here, I'm at 357 and 164. It's just the reference point of where I am in the grid. So if I'm moving this around right here and I put this more or less in the center, I should be at about 155-ish, right about there. That's about the center, roughly. I mean, it's a bit to the side, but that's the center of the actual image. So I try to get the armor centered based on, kind of where it's sitting in the image, as I mentioned. But that's what I was actually, the point I was getting to, and I got distracted. This is what I was referring to, is down here at the bottom. Okay, so this is armor number 4, or number 5, excuse me, Spirit and Water. That one's done. And this one's another, this is Spirit and Fire number 2. This one looks, again, more Spirit and Fiery to me. Sorry, messages popped up on me. Okay. Yeah, this one looks more Spirit and Fire to me. It kind of has a spirity and fiery effect to it. Kind of looks like spirit horns and kind of more of a fiery looking little flare coming off the helm there. The helmet. This one's kind of like last month. The Spirit, or the Fire and Air armor that was the seasonal, the Fallen Sun, I believe it's called, looks like a classic armor, like a classic knight's armor. This one, again, looks like a classic knight's armor. And to be honest, sometimes I prefer those, because when I mean, although I like the ones that have kind of the freaky looking effects, like the one that has all the skulls and stuff on it, I also like the look of just traditional knight armors, like what you'd expect an actual knight, back in medieval times to be wearing. I mean, this is granted, much more embellished, and the helmet is probably nowhere near practical, but it still just looks like a traditional knight's armor. Like, it has a helmet, it has breastplate, it has the the knee braces, it has the pauldrons, it has the gauntlets, it has everything. It looks like a traditional knight's armor. I just prefer those. I think they look more authentic. I mean, granted, this is a fantasy game, so there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief there, but it just looks cooler to me. I like it better. And this one, actually, the weapon looks like a glorified mace, or a club with lots of spikes, which is, I guess, the definition of a mace. But I like the look of them a little bit better. They just look a little more authentic to me, I guess. And I've watched quite a lot of programs on TV that cover, actual knight armor, knight weapons, etc. So I know, I'm by no means an expert, but I know kind of what they look like, and so, I just kind of like the look of the traditional armors to look more like an actual, like, knight. So there you go. There's that one. All right. And okay. So that one this is wide because of that spike. 285. And I usually, again, make them square, like I've said like 10 times in this video. I like to repeat myself, can you tell? So this one is armor 6, Spirit Fire, if I recall. Spirit Fire. Groovy. Okay. And you can't really see it because up here in the top left corner where I have my banner that says DATAMINE June 8, 2018, it has the names right here in the top left corner too. You might be able to read them. They're sort of kind of there. Anyway, so here's the Nautilus Lancer reskin, which I didn't think it was, but I was obviously wrong. It didn't look that similar to it to me, but it's probably because the weapon has been somewhat redesigned. Maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. I'll look at it in a minute. I'll pull it back up in another window. But it does look an awful lot like it. So if that is the case, we have 3 reskins in here instead. Instead of the, whoops, I'm on the wrong one. Instead of 2. So, but there's 10 armors this time, which there was 10 last time, but the Gundam looking armor, and I mentioned this in the previous video that I'd seen it before and I couldn't think of what it was. It's because it's a Gundam. Gundam suits are basically mechs that have people inside of them that fight with other mechs and other miscellaneous things like, you know, creatures and whatnot from other planets, universes, whatever. It's been a long time since I've seen it, so don't quote me on that, but they are basically they're mechs. They're big robots that have humans inside of them that control them. So Flight Suit Gundam was one of the names. There's a lot of them back in the day when I was a kid. They're still around. It's not like they've gone somewhere or something, but they were very common when I was a kid. And I'm trying to remember the name of the TV show that I had the most exposure. There's that armor there. There's the Nautilus. I think they actually typoed it in game. Originally, I think it's supposed to be Nautilus, like the undersea creature, Nautilus, but they put an L in it, so it was the Nautilus Lancer, and that's actually on the wiki if I recall correctly. I think it's on there correctly and misspelled. So if you, regardless of which one you use, it will pull it back up. It'll still pull up the correct armor. So if you do typo it, like it's typoed in game, you'll still get the armor like you're supposed to. There's that one. And it does look different from the original. But how different, I couldn't readily say. So let me get this on here really fast. And before I move on, let me just merge this back up again. And I'm going to really quickly jump to the wiki, so bear with me for just a quick second. I'm going to pull that armor up because I want to see kind of, you know, and my internet is dragging. Well, actually, it's not my internet, it's my computer going, I don't know what you want me to do. You're making me do too many things. Nautilus Lancer, there we go. Yeah, the weapon is very different. The shield is also very different. But, yeah, let me see if I can pull that up here. I'm going to move this over into my other window. So bear with me here for just a quick second. Here's the armor. That's the Nautilus Lancer. Let me pull it back up here in a different window. No, I want to see the actual image. Thank you. So this is the original image that I uploaded to the site. So you can see there, it's similar. You know, the head, there's the differences on the sides. The weapon's very different. But the chest is pretty similar. The weapon's obviously been changed. But that's it. Just wanted to kind of show you that, what that looked like. So, anyway, back to what I was doing. I'll move that off the window again. Okay. Alrighty, so yeah, so it has the very same front plate and the chest is very similar, the feet also, but the weapon is the same up to about here, because this is actually a bit shorter, but then it's a pointed weapon out here, and then the head only has just the front one rather than the top and the sides. But it uses the same bling, more or less. So the ring is identical, if I recall. So anyway, there's that one. Let's take that, move it. So the head, if I recall correctly, is identical. It's just the weapon. And again, I'm repeating myself. The shield is different. The head's a little bit different. The weapon's different. But the rest of it is pretty similar. Clearly based on that armor. Okay. 250. 250. This is a smaller one. Alright. Not quite so large. Armor. Oops, I didn't even check the elements. Hang on. Spirit. Okay. Armor 7. SS. And there we go. Okay. I can't tell if anybody's actually talking in the chat or not. I'm looking to see if there is anyone. I don't see any messages. Send a quick hello. I don't know if I can make this like separate or not. Yeah, well, alright. Okay, I was just checking the stream chat to see if anybody was in there chatting or saying anything to me, but I don't see it, so maybe not. Okay, that's fine. Alright, moving back into what I was doing. Okay. Whoa, mouse just jumped all the way across the screen. Okay. There's that. Alrighty. Sorry, my cell phone rang there for a second. I denied the call. Sorry, messages on line again here. Somebody's asking me for my Twitch channel, so one moment. Okay. Yeah, got the arm. Okay, or gotta get the arm next. Okay. This one is, like I said, the Firelash Feller. They did slightly redesign the shoulders. They had more of kind of that furry effect like the ring does, but it is basically the same. The color scheme obviously is different, but it does have a very similar look to it in general to the original Firelash Feller. So obviously the hair, instead of being red, is this nice pinky purpley color, but you know, that's what you get with a reskin. They just use most of the same elements and slightly change certain components of it. Alright, and this one is the shield. Again, very similar, but obviously made more spirit-y, and in this case more earth, because it was also earth in the first place. So some of the color schemes are the same, but they changed everything that was kind of more red, like a more fire color, to a more purple in this one, which is, again, pretty standard stuff. That's what they do. There's the shield, big old massive thing that covers the shoulder. Again, just like it is with most of them. And we're almost to the point where we can start assembling the sheet. And I've been going this entire time for about an hour and 17 minutes, and I have not really had anybody messaging me online, and now all of a sudden everyone wants me to message them. Sorry guys, you're gonna have to wait. I am busy. Stop bothering me. Just kidding, they're not really bothering me, they're just messaging me in the middle of this and it pops up on my screen, on my other screen. Thankfully I set it to where I'm using my secondary monitor. This is what you're seeing is my secondary monitor. But the my main monitor, which is the one you're looking at here, which is the one that has my camera, is my secondary, or is my primary monitor. So my messages always pop up there. So it just pops up and kind of gets in the way of things. So anyway, there's that one. That's the Firelash Feller reskin, which is now Spirit and Earth instead of Fire and Earth. Okay, there we go. And this one's 250, basically 255, both directions. There we go. This is number 8, Spirit and Earth. Alrighty, and here's the Raid Armor, or what should be the Raid Armor. The other one was the Spirit and Water we did a bit ago. I'm kind of trying to go a little faster this time than I did the last time, other than the tangent, obviously, that I went on. I kind of started doing them, the first couple I did a little slower, just so kind of people could kind of see the whole process and understand what all I'm doing. And I'm not going to, again, like the last time, I'm not going to take anyone through the actual extraction process because it's boring and ludicrously time-consuming. There's not much to it other than me opening up my hex editor, looking for a specific value, the beginning bit, like I mentioned in the previous video, previous stream, the beginning bit of the PNG file, and then holding down Shift and doing page down, page down, page down, page down until I get to the end of that file, or the ending bit of the PNG file, and then I extract that and save it in a folder, and then I repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. This time, I think there were 104 I think images in this file, so I did that 104 times. So it's not that it's difficult, obviously, it's just very time consuming, and if you happen to lose track of where you were, you sometimes have to go back three or four files to find out where you were. There's that armor before I put anything else on it, just so you can see it. And there's the shield, which, as usual, covers up some of the shoulder. About right there. There we go. Kind of like the look of this weapon. It looks kind of like Tron. If you know what Tron is, you'll understand what I mean. The rest of the armor, not so much. Just that particular part right there looks kind of like the Tron the discs that the players use in the movie, both the original and the new one. I like the new one, by the way, a lot. I'm glad they kind of did things the way they did. I loved the first one. Came out when I was a kid, but I liked the sequel to it. I liked what they did with the sequel. It just seemed like it kind of mixed and meshed well with the current storyline, or the original storyline rather. Okay, there's armor number 8, or number 9. Excuse me. This is number 9. I'm almost done. Okay, so this is. Let's just do 280. It's a bit of a longer one, bit of a wider one, rather. This is armor number 9, also Spirit and Earth. Okay, and last but not least, we have the Slash Spirit and Air. This one I kind of like the look of. I like the horned sort of look of that head, that helmet. About like that. I generally like the Spirit and Air armors, even though they're not an ideal element combination. I always generally like them. I kind of like the look of them, and they will normally have good stats, because having Spirit just in general usually means you have decent stats. Spirit and Water is probably my next favorite, just in looks alone. But Spirit and Earth, well, not my top. My favorite, looks-wise, are generally Spirit and Earth. But the Spirit and Air is a close second, then Spirit and Water. But this one is just kind of, I like the look of it in general. It just has a good look and feel to it. There's the armor again before I add the shield to it. You can kind of see it there. And the shield is see-through. I like it when they do that sometimes. It just makes it look kind of cool. Shield on that one's going to go a little lower. And then the weapon on this one looks just cool. I like the double-edged sword kind of look to it. And this one I'm going to have to do some heavy blending on that one, because the hand is huge and the arm does not blend that well in that area. Kind of has to be inside of that little sleeve, like so. There we go. Okay, that's just a cool looking weapon. That's one of the main reasons why I like this armor, is just the weapon and the head are just cool looking to me. I like them. That goes about there. There we go. Just a cool looking weapon. Cool looking armor, rather, in general, not weapon alone. Alonely. God, I can't talk. Not all by itself, just the weapon. It's a cool looking armor in general. Duh. There we go. I can speak English, I swear. I am not a derp all the time. Okay, there is the last one. Okay, now we're going to do one here. We're going to do 1600 by, let's just make it massive just to make it easy. Make a new layer here. There we go. Okay, so now, like I did in the last video, I'm going to get myself a little box. So give me just a quick second here. Sorry. Message is popping up again. Okay, so we're going to make some boxes here. I think in the last video, I think I made him 350 tall. I think 350 pixels tall. I think something like that. Yeah, I did. I made it 400 originally, and it was just way too much room. It was way too much area to cover there. So we're going to go to here, and again, looking at this little guy down here in the bottom right corner, I'm going to be going to about the 350 mark, about there. Whoops. Come on. Close enough. I'm going to go down here to about the 700 mark, about there. Now I have two lines to put my armors on. This might not be wide enough. I should have thought about that before. Maybe it is. It actually might be, because I don't think I have anything that's, you know, massive in this one. Like last one, I had two of the armors were just massive. They were like humongously wide. The water and air one, that Gundam-looking armor, was 350 or 370 pixels wide. It's just massive. This time around, I think the biggest one I have is close to 300, like 295. So I shouldn't have that issue this time. So I should have plenty of room. Last time I was looking at it and I had to redo the size. I had to make it wider because it wasn't enough room. Okay, now let's go back into my folder where all my files are here, and I need to grab the rings, the heads, and the amulets. And I'm gonna... Oh. I'm a fucking idiot sometimes. I didn't rename the ring for that one I was talking about for so long. I didn't think it matched any of the armors. I just called it Armor 5 dash. That was it. There was nothing after the end of the name of it. Derp. Okay. All right. Here we go. Every once in a while, my derp rears its ugly head and kicks me in the ass. Okay, we're going to copy this back up to here. Put it in there so we have all the rings and amulets and everything else, everything to put together. So if I go to here, I've got amulet, head, armor, ring. Amulet, head, armor, ring. Who is that? Hey, Sammy. Thanks for following. So I've got, again, amulet, head, armor, ring. Same thing, all the way through. So they're all in order. It makes it easier to sort through when I'm assembling the sheet. Okay, so now, the only thing I need to do otherwise is go into here, grab the capes and the pets, cape and pets, copy them into here, and then go into the bosses folder and grab my two bosses and drop them in there as well. Just so everything's in the same folder. Makes it easier to sort through and lay out. Okay, first things first. Armor number 1. And I did say this in the previous video. Whoops, I'm in the wrong layer again. I gotta put that back up here. I want to put it here. Did I put that there? Yeah, okay. So this is gonna go here. So this is armor number 1. Like so. And I said this in the previous stream, and if you've been watching this the whole time, or at least most of it, you would have seen that I pull the armors out in the order they appear in the file. So I don't like rearrange them per se. Except if there's 9 armors in a month and there's the one duel that's usually the fusion event, I'll put that one separate. So if it might be armor number 6, I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'll skip 6 and do 7, 8, 9, and then put 6 all by itself over here on this far right hand side, just so it's separate clearly. In this case there's 2 of each, so don't need to do that. Okay, whoops, back to here, and number 3. No, don't do that. There we go. Number 3. Right about like that. Number 4. Right about like that. And number 5. Right about like, oops, I hate when I do that. Click in the wrong area. It's got a feature in it. If you click in just a specific area, you're kind of dragging and doing something other than actually moving it. Okay, it's actually going to be a little bit wide, but that's okay. I think one of the other armors in the second 5 is a little bit wider, so it should balance out pretty well. Okay. Spirit and Fire number 2. Right about there. Spirit and Spirit, right about there. Spirit and Earth number 1, right about there. Spirit and Earth number 2, right about there. Yeah, so it actually is going to balance out pretty well because this is a wider one, and this one's a wider one, so it should look pretty evenly spaced. And this one at the very end. Yeah, looks actually pretty good. Just like that. Okay, there we go. Before I proceed, I'm actually going to chop this side of this down. I'm going to take it to about 1500 before I even move on, so I don't have all that extra space at the side. Okay, there we go. I may even trim it up a bit more than that. I could probably go up to 1450, but I'll do that toward the end. Okay, so now we're going to go into the rings and amulets. So I'll zoom in here a bit. There's amulet number 1 for our Shade Flame Edge reskin. And there's the ring and amulet set for that one. And it's kind of nice when you zoom in, you can really see the level of detail on some of these, some of the bling. Okay. Oops, way too far. Slow down there, Turbo. About like that. Some of the armors are a little shorter than others, so I just try to keep the placement of the rings and amulets across the top pretty consistent. Even though some of the armors are a bit taller, like this one's a bit shorter, this one's a bit taller. I try to keep them still roughly in the same general area. There's the amulet for that guy, right about there. I generally put the amulet more or less directly above the head, and then the ring more or less directly above the weapon, with a little bit of a gap in between them. As you can see by what I'm doing, because I am talking to fill time and make it not dead air when I really don't even need to be doing that. Derp. Okay, there's the ring that I still don't think really belongs with that armor, but it's the only one that really makes sense. Okay, row number 2. Spirit, would you stop that tab when I tab you, damn it? Is this still? Yes, it is. Okay. It's behind it. The hell? Did I really do that on purpose? Shit. I'm gonna have to rearrange this. Oh well. That's fine. I can do that easily enough. So now if I do this, ha ha ha. Okay. Go back to here. Now if I drag this up, it's over the top of that, which is kind of what I wanted in the first place. Okay. Anyway. I did that last video too, but I didn't realize it. I realized it sooner than I did this time. Okay. Ring. Kerblamo. There's the ring. Amulet for number dos. This one actually looks like the reason why I spotted it and thought, oh, this is a Nautilus Lancer reskin is because that's the same amulet as the Nautilus Lancer, or at least very similar to it, obviously, besides the colors. So you can see it and look at it and go, oh, that looks just like the same one. It looks just like it, but it's actually more like the shoulder here. But they have redesigned it somewhat, so it's not identical. Kind of like the Title Cut Blader, the Water and Air, that was a reskin of the Summertide Mail, just in Water Month. They changed some of the components, made it look a little bit different, so it wasn't just a full-fledged reskin. Like the Shade Flame Edge, for example, the Shade Flame Edge right here, it's exactly the same armor. There's no differences that I can see other than the colors. This one is a reskin-ish. So it's reskin, but only in some of the components of the armor. Because the original armor, that ring, by the way, is identical to the original. The original armor had more of like a spear-looking weapon, and it didn't have these two bubbles on the sides and the top. It had just the front, and the shield was very different, but otherwise very similar in every other way. I think I've said some of that already in the past, but I wanted just to make sure that it was clear. Okay, here is this one is again just like the Shade Flame. This is the Firelash Feller. This is a 100% reskin. It's only just colors. There's nothing different that I can see otherwise. It looks exactly the same as the original. The ring and amulet look exactly the same as the original, other than the color scheme. So no change at all. So this month we technically have 3 reskins, but one of them is a kind of reskin. It's been reworked a little bit. So it's similar to the original, but thankfully not identical. Okay, so there is the last one, and this one I kind of like the look of that armor, just in general. It's the last but not least, our last spirit and air. There we go. So there's the armors. So now I am going to probably, just to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to do the elements right now. So let me jump over here and grab my folder where I have all of my elements. So spirit, obviously, to start off with. Let's do another layer and put that right. Okay, it does go over the top. Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure my layer alignment was right. So spirit there, and spirit there, spirit there. If I recall correctly, that second one is dual spirit, right? Yes, it is. Makes it easy. I can just put 3 of them right there. Just drop them both in place at the same time. And then this one here was the dual spirit as well. I'll just do those really quick first before I proceed. So, there. Another one right about there. Yep, looks pretty good. A little bit far to the right, but that's okay. That one right about there. That one right about there. Thrilling, excitement, thrill a minute. I was at the edge of my seat. I've said it before in the previous videos, it's really not that exciting. This is the point where it's really just kind of placing things, making sure they line up, making sure the alignment's okay and things aren't jacked up. That's the spirit elements there. It's really not that exciting, it's just the same thing. Now let's do air first, since that's the first one we have here. Oops, don't do that. Move over. There we go. Air, right about here. And air, right about here. There we go. Now we've got earth, which is these bottom 2 here. Earth. And earth. There we go. And then we have fire, which, if I remember correctly, were 4 and 6. Okay. So 4 right here. And 6 right there. Notifications arriving on my email now for people who already subscribed like 15 minutes ago. Thanks for being prompt, Twitch. It's appreciated. Okay, now I have the air and or the spirit and water. That's it. Okay, cool. Thought so. Alright, there is the elements. All done. And there you have it. There's the 10 armors. So that's it for that portion anyway. Alright, now we're going to work on the, let's do our text box really quick before I forget. Then I'm going to make that in the same layer as the elements. Oops, might help if I had unselected what I had selected. There we go. This is about right there. I'll move it over just a titch. There we go. Where are we at in the middle here? It's a little bit off. Not too much though. That looks about right. Okay. Now I'm going to put the text in there. And don't worry, I'll fix the text here in just a moment. Put that roughly in the middle. And I think I'm going to go probably 24, 28 maybe. 28 looks about right. And there we go. There's that. Okay. Now, I'm going to make another layer for our pets, bosses, cape, all that good stuff, and we should mostly be done. Alright, so really quick, let me test one thing here. Yep. Just making sure everything stays where it's supposed to. Okay, cool. Alrighty. So we're going to go back into here. We're going to go into the bosses. Actually, let's do pets first. We'll do pets first. Pet number 1. Skull Dog. That's what it looks like to me. Skull Dog. Put that about right there. Stop it, you goofy damn thing. There's the Skull Dog with a little bit more on his head. About like so. I mentioned this in the previous video. This part sometimes goes really smoothly, and sometimes by the time I'm done I want to pull my hair out because I can't quite get the alignment right. Like I'll put down the first row just fine, then I'll put the second row of the tier 4 and tier 5 side by side, and I can't get them to look right, and I redo it and redo it and redo it, and then other times it just flows and works perfectly. So I'm going to have to still move this a little bit, but I want to at least get them somewhere where they should be, somewhat, if I can talk. So this one, I have to say, this is a much cooler looking pet than the last one. Kind of that boar looking thing, that ugly looking pig dude. Let me move this. Let's move this just a little bit. I'm not going to be able to move it much though. Well, let me see. Nah, I don't need to move it. It looks fine. Okay, that actually worked out well that time. Alright, cool. So, we're going to go into our text box again. I'm going to go to here and go about like... I'm going to have to move it still, but that's that. I'm going to here and say pets. I'm definitely going to have to move that box. It looks a little off-center to me. What the hell? What are you doing? There we go. Hit the wrong key on my keyboard. Pets. Right about there. Okay, so there's the pets. Next up we have the bosses, which are right here. And this one, this boss, by the way, this Spirit and Water, is the one I mentioned earlier. This is, I'm pretty sure, sorry, this one over here. This one on the far right. If you look at the head, it has kind of these glowy, like, yellow bits coming off of it. And that one does as well. So I'm pretty sure that this one is the same. And before I go any further, I am going to go back into the bosses folder, and I didn't mean to cut and paste. I did that again. I didn't want to cut and paste. I wanted to copy and paste. Back into here. There we go. So if I look at the full image, there's the boss image right there. It doesn't really have a weapon. It does have wings. Kind of has these same sort of like runic looking things on some of the components, like on the body. On some of the like, looks like this is probably like neck, like the long pieces of the neck as it kind of swirls up. They all have that same sort of look to it, and if you look at this guy, it has the same sort of thing. So it looks like it's probably, that's most likely what that's going to be, because it even has the same sort of like things on the face, and it has these same yellowy bits coming off of it. So I'm pretty sure that's a Spirit and Water boss. I'm going to move that down. So that's just my estimation. That's what I think it is. Boss number 2. This one, all you have to do is look at the head. Ta-da! That one right there. Spirit and Earth looks exactly the same. Now, like I said last time, last month, the armor, like the head, had that same sort of like the drape coming off the top of the head. It had like those runic symbols going down the side of it. The armor looked identical to the one that they made the exclusive, the Elite. So, who knows? They could use this guy right here, the Firelash reskin, as the exclusive, or they may decide to throw a wrench in our gears again and make it this one instead. But as long as they follow the same pattern, it's going to be one of the two as the exclusive, because it's always the adjacent element that's weak to the previous months. So this month it's Fire and Spirit, next month Spirit and Earth, then Earth and Air, then Earth, Air and Water, etc., etc. Rinse and repeat. It's the same, or at least it has been the same for many, many months now, with the exception of the one dual Earth exclusive. They've been the same. So they shouldn't, hopefully, deviate from that. But if they do, I say if they do, it could be this guy right here, the dual Spirit. If they do deviate, it'll be this guy. So it's hard to say. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, because this is just what the data I have available to me right now. I will probably check again in about a week to see if any of the data's changed. It usually doesn't, but sometimes they'll add more to it. Speaking of which, before I forget, I did look in the files just a few days ago, and those of you who may not have seen it, this guy right here. These, I looked in the files again. This was not quite a week ago. I think it was Tuesday or Monday. This was in the files. This wasn't in the original packets, the original pack of data. This was in it. So you can see right here, this is the pets that presumably are going to go with that water and air event armor. And in the announcement they had on the Reddit, etc., it does have these pets in it. So I'm guessing that they're a special event sort of thing that go along with that. So they're a special pet, so they should be water here at the top and air at the bottom, to go hand in hand with the same elements of the event armor, which goes hand in hand with the anniversary of DECA taking over the development and control of the game. So for those of you who may not have seen it, those were in the files about 3 weeks or so after the original pack was available. So just wanted to make sure everyone is aware of that. So those pets were released much later. They were not in the files. I check about once a week after the initial, I initially find them. I'll check about once a week to see if there's anything changed. Nothing changed until just a few days ago. So right before the month really kind of started. So anyway. Back to my folder here. Spirit. I'm going to put the I'm just going to put these in the same layer because it's not going to hurt anything to do that. There's Spirit, and there's, whoops, whoa, slow down there, Turbo. Right about here. And then we're going to put water next to this guy right here. That's that one there. And earth next to this guy here. I may move those over just a little bit. They look like they're kind of farther away than the other ones are. Just a titch. Not much. Stop that. Oh, maybe it's just that thing right there makes it look like it. That's about the same. Good enough. Okay. And again, I usually put the text of what ones they should go with at the top, but I will do that after I put the black background in place. Okay, now we have the cape. And this time, there's really not much else. Because last time I had 2 capes, and I had some other stuff to add as well besides, but that's it for this month. I'm going to put this up here a little bit higher, so I can kind of keep the bottom end short. And now I can put in my text boxes. Text boxes sounds weird to me. There's the bosses, and I will probably move that one as well because it looks like it's a little bit too far to the right. And back into here again. And I'll probably end up moving that one also, but I'll do them both really quick. Whoops, not black, white. There we go. And cape. Personally, I liked the cape from last month a lot better than this one. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary. Put that about right there. And then we're going to move this guy here as well to about right there. Okay, so size-wise, I'm going to trim this up. I can't quite go 1100. I'll do 1125. There we go. Much better. So there is the completed data mine. So let me save this before I move anywhere else, before I do anything else. I want to jack this up. So this is going to be the 2018-06 data mine. There we go. So now I can go back up to my bottom layer and I can insert my black background. Like so. Ta-da! So there it is, and now all I have to do is add in my text, which I will use this kind of more reddish color to put my info down here. I'll probably put it at the bottom. Makes more sense down there. June 2018, data mine. Actually, no, I'm not going to put it there. I'm going to have to move things. Back up to here. I'm going to have to move this entire thing here. Just down and to the left a little bit like that, so I have room to put stuff over here on the right, which is not that much, but I want to have some room to put some text right up here. Okay, we're just about done. Last video was just about 2 hours. This one's looking like it's going to be about the same, so not too much difference there. June 2018 data mine. I may have to move it even more. I forgot to put this in actually in my last one. It's okay though. Okay, I can now slide that over to the right. And I'm going to go to here with this guy here, and we're going to put... No, I didn't want to do that. That stays the same. There we go. Now I can switch it. About that guy right there. So this one is the first row 5th armor. And I'm going to put that on center. There we go. And then this one is the 2nd row 4th armor. About like so. And that is basically it. All done. So I will be sending this out the usual channels as usual. I'll just make sure I haven't missed anything, clean up a little bit here otherwise. But I think I'm done. So thanks everyone for watching. I will see you in about a month's time for the next one. I've had friends ask me if I do any other streaming. I don't really play any other games. I may look into that in the future. So some people have told me that I'm entertaining to watch, which I suppose I am in some way. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get this finished and send it out to everyone as per the norm. But that's it. So everyone have a great day. Have fun in the rest of the war. All those people who are in the top spots, congrats, good job. The EU folks, not so much. There's the guild in first place right now are clearly hacking, so sadly they're most likely going to win unless DECA does something about it and takes them off the leaderboard entirely, which I don't know if they can do, but anyway. That's it. Thanks everyone again for watching. See you in about a month or so if nothing else that comes up between now and then. Bye-bye!